We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, then quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cập nhật thiết chúng sanh, Tịnh chiến diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã mùng, như á liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạc lạc, tất chư vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Nam mô Sa Đần Thọ Su Chế Đô Ye Ở La Hờ Đi San Miao San Pu Tô Xie. Nam mô Tạc Đạc Tha Tô Già Đa Già A La Hà Đế Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Thoa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa bai jian wan jie nan zao yu wo jin jie wen de shou qi yuan jie ru lai zhe shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Ching Liang, Great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns, and all good known advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大士、师父上人，各位出家人，各位善知识，弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư và Thượng Tiến Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 30th of December 2022. We are gathered here at Way Mountain Temple to continue discussing the prologue to the Avatamsaka Sutra. We are on door number 2, slide 211, discussing the stores and the teachings containing it. Welcome and thank you all for coming. All right, let's jump right into it. Text. That which compare is all pure, non-outflowing wisdom, as well as those which are interactive belonging to the mind and so forth.
其能对者，皆无漏尽慧及相应心所等。
Okay, we are in the midst of discussing the third and final store. There's which a Shastra store, which contains all the wisdom, and he started by explaining the name of the Shastra, why it's called Shastra, why it's called Abhidharma, and so forth. So he says Shastra is paired Dharma. Pair here, and then he further elaborates. Here, that which compares all pure, non-outflowing wisdom. Okay. It's referring to our wisdom, the wisdom of our Buddha nature, which we all have. That is, you have right now. Okay, that you already possess. Okay, what is nature, this wisdom that can pair? A pair here, this wisdom here is non-outflow as compared to worldly wisdom, which is with outflows. Okay, for example, the worldly wisdom that you learn, that you develop, are where what you gain in the human realm here by going to school, getting degrees, getting certification, and so forth. Okay, that will help you create and build like a bridge, like a hospital, and so forth. All those wisdom, what we call wisdom, or in professional we call experience. Okay, professional experience, professional proficiency is actually worldly. Why is it called worldly? Because it's with outflows. Meaning what? When we use this worldly wisdom, what happens to you? You're experiencing outflows. Meaning that when you use your professional knowledge, professional expertise and competence to work, to do your work, to live, then you are experiencing a drain of your life force, a drain of your energy. In other words, what we're conditioned to in a worldly perspective is to, this is what people take it for granted, that in order to make a living, we're draining ourselves. We are harming our body. There's no two ways about it. As you make money, your body becomes weaker and sicker. Because as you use your worldly wisdom, your professional knowledge and experience, you are draining your self-defense. You're exhausting your life force. Why is that? How does that work? Yes, 9.
Maybe because we're using thinking mind throughout the day when we are working.
Right. What happens is that when you think, because in order for you to use the worldly knowledge, your worldly experience, you need to think. Okay? And you need to use your thinking mind. You need to discriminate. You need to analyze. You need to synthesize. All those are typical activities at the professional level. Whether you are working in even manual labor, you still need, that requires precision. That is, this is your thinking mind here. Okay? Or designing something intellectually, you need to think. When you think, what happens is that typically your life force, your chi, it revolves. It flows throughout your body naturally. So typically, it takes about 2 hours for your chi to flow, to make one full revolution throughout your body. It's like being pushed around. And why is it important? It's important because as it being pushed around, it unclogs the energy blockages that's happening in your body. So it's healing, you're healing yourself. It's a natural process. We have wear and tear, okay? And we have illnesses, and the qi flow in our body has a healing process, has a healing function. Yes, 9.
So, Master, when you say it takes about 2 hours to qi to go around the body, what about when we're sitting in full lotus? Does it move faster or slower or same?
It depends, but usually it's on the average. Some fast for some people, slow for some people, and also your qi flows is stronger if you have higher skills. Okay? Yeah. All right, so it flows, and it's a natural process. Your body, this is how it sustains itself, maintains itself, okay? And minimizes wear and tear. And it flows through, make a complete revolution in your body, your life force. That's how you sustain life. Okay, so it's a natural process that without thinking, that's what happens. When you meditate, you reduce your thinking, that's why it flows naturally. However, when you are working and you're thinking, the kind of work that requires you to think, then what happens is that this thinking process is focused up here in your brains, in your head, your brain's area. So it draws up all the qi up here, because this takes priority over the rest of the activities. So instead of, for example, part of the qi has to do digestion, you're eating some snacks, okay? You're eating something, the digestion requires qi, okay? To some energy for digestive functions. Well, actually what happens is that because you're thinking, you're pulling as much energy as you require up to your brain's areas. So what happens is that now you have excessive focus, excessive expenditures of energy in your cerebral, in your brain's area, which diminishes the qi available to circulate. Okay? And because of that, the sicknesses would have a chance to build faster. Think of like the sediments in the river. The river, when the water flows strongly, very little sediments is being deposited to the bottom of the river. When the flow of water is reduced, the speed is reduced, more sediments settle. That's all, and that's a nature. It's the same model for illnesses. If you think excessively, then your illnesses will build up faster. Yes, 7.
Thank you, Master. Would that be a reason when people are diagnosed with cancer that they go through that like really fast because they are like thinking too much about it?
Are you asking about fasting?
No. For example, when people are diagnosed with cancer, I've seen like...
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad. Sorry, Master. Could that be why like people diagnosed with cancer that they die way faster because they are thinking too much about it?
No, that's different. different. That's I'm just explaining to give you a simple model of what's happening when you think excessively. But cancer, when you're sick, that's a different story. I'm talking about a normal, healthy person who can go to work, go to the office and work. And whether you are an engineer, whether you are a artist, or whether you are a manual worker, when you at work, you required to think, then that's what happens to your body. Your body, the more you need to process mentally at work, the sicker the body will become. The more imbalanced your body becomes. So that's why your body becomes sicker. The qi flow is drastically reduced. For example, you have the high-powered people like the financial analysts or the lawyers or the doctors. They are constantly processing and diagnosing and talking to their patients, for example. They're consuming a lot of qi up here, so they need to pull up the thing. Therefore, whatever reserves you have to naturally circulate to heal yourself is greatly reduced, and therefore the disease builds up a lot faster than normal. Therefore, what happens? You age more as well. That's what happens to us. And that's why it's called with outflows. And this is the disadvantage of tolerating or encouraging outflows. Okay, so what about without outflows? Without outflows, then basically it means that you have no thinking. This is very different. The non-Buddhist spiritual path, they are also called transcendental, because basically the spiritual practices like the yogas, like the Taoist practices, for example, Sufi practice and so forth, all those practices, what they do is they serve as two things. Number one, they will reduce your thinking. It's what, depending on your samadhi level, each higher level samadhi involves less thinking for you, naturally, in your natural state. So for example, at the zero level of samadhi, like most people here in the Saha world, they are in self-indulgent, they think excessively, and it's called zero. They're scattered, they cannot focus. Okay, they're very, very scattered. Okay, at that, so their minds are thinking wildly, is way out of control. When you go into the first dhyana, that's the first level of concentration. That's when all of a sudden, at that level, as compared to a prior level, there are fewer thoughts. Not just fewer thoughts, but particular kinds of thoughts that will lessen in the next level up. For example, next level up, you think not as often about food or about sleep. You don't realize it, but most monks and nuns who get engaged in our programs, one of the first things they crave for is sleep, because they are not used to getting up and do morning ceremony at 4 and work all day and study and do things all day until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Okay, that's our normal schedule. So for the first a few months to at least a year or so, at least few months to a year or so, they all crave just one thing: sleep. And sleep, to be able to sleep, feels so good. Okay? And so you see, you don't realize that in our, where we live right now, in this desire realm, we have this desire for sleep, which is very deeply ingrained in our psyche. We want to sleep. And this is exactly because that desire to sleep more in particular, that's what prevents you from escaping to a higher realm. So for example, in our training, we get up at 4 in the morning and people complain. I remember the first when I was there as a novice, all of us would stand there, we would learn to sleep while standing. We pass out for a few seconds. That's a natural thing. Okay? And everybody hated it, especially the novices. We at my time, there's 4 of us standing there. I'm the last one. I'm the least senior one. I glance over them occasionally to see what these people who are ahead of me for a year, what they've got. Okay? And they're all standing there and trying to sleep. Okay, so that craving to sleep, that desire to sleep, okay, is an outflow. And so as you go to the first level of dhyana, that those cravings lessen, okay, and then so forth. Next level, all the types of cravings lessen, and that's what enables you to transcend your mediocrity. Mediocre people are mediocre because they indulge in their desires. It's not a lack of intellect. It's not because they're not smart. It's just that they are self-indulgent. That's why they're mediocre. They cannot get out of their own limitations. That's why in Chinese, one of the things you learn, 不放逸, do not indulge. Don't be scattered. If every time you're scattered, you become scattered, it's because you're indulging yourself. That's scattered right there. Or, that's being scattered. Okay? And that's outflows. And that's why the non-Buddhist practices, they create non-outflows. They encourage you to have these practices that you do that will free you from those moments of self-indulgence, and that's how you escape to the higher plane of existence. You go to the heavens. Above us are the heavens. That's why they call themselves transcendental, because they transcend our mediocrity in a way. Okay? Yeah. Same thing, even if you go to first dhyana, you still have a lot of mediocrities right there, a lot of self-indulgence. And that's why you go next level, second dhyana, then you have fewer attachments and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. So as you progress through your spiritual practice, you are thinking less and less. That's a requirement for you to transcend your mediocrity. And it happens naturally. Okay? Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master. You just said sleep is a form of outflow.
Yes.
And so before I cultivate, so every time if I get sick, then I will try to sleep. And the other is if I do a lot of physical exercises, and afterwards, if the body, push the body to the exhaustion limit, and then I need to sleep to recover. And now when I get sick, and I try to at least do sitting meditation. So I just want to, if you could elaborate into a little bit more in detail why you think sleep is a form of outflow. So what are we losing? Qi? Thank you.
No, I'm not. I never said that sleep is an outflow. The desire to sleep is an outflow.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. So that's why this, now you understand why the non-Buddhist practices, they claim transcendence, because they enable their followers to rise above their normal levels. Okay? And it is true. They transcend where they live, where they reside, and they can move to the heavens, which is true. And after they die, when they die, they have the ability to ascend to the heavens. Therefore, they transcend their own human inadequacies. So far, so good. That's why they call TM, transcendental meditation. They will bring you to the heavens instead of staying here in human realm. It's a good skill to have. Okay? However, that as far as Buddhism is concerned, it still has outflows, because the fact they transcend the heavens, excuse me, doesn't mean they're free from thinking, they're free from outflows. They have not put an end to the outflows. They only lessen the outflows, that's all. So it's not ultimate. The non-Buddhist practices are not ultimate. They still have outflows, albeit few outflows. Okay? So all practices, for example, famous yogi practices, they will get to the top of our world, 8th Samadhi, where they experience emptiness. They experience the mind is free from thoughts for a long, long time. That's why they can live for such a long, long time. Okay? However, at the end of that long, long time, one thought will strike up, and they fall down to lower realms. In Buddhism, our practices will put an end to all thoughts, not simply repress them for a long, long time. We kill the birth of those thoughts. Okay, and that's why Buddhist wisdom is ultimate. Ultimately, in Buddhist wisdom, you have no more outflows, because it's exactly what you are capable of. It's non-outflowing wisdom here. Non-outflow wisdom here refers to a kind of wisdom that you inherently possess already. You simply forgot how to use it. So the point of this Buddhist teaching is that don't settle for less. You're a lot better than you think you are. You're very special, as I like to say it. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Okay? All right. So that not only do you have a non-outflow or pure refers to no thoughts. See that? When you have no thoughts, that's when this non-outflow wisdom here manifests itself. And that's the secret of this name. Okay? Pure, this the Chinese terminology is very, very precise, very insightful. Pure, meaning that no thoughts. Okay? Because there's no thought, there's no outflow. Why is there outflowing wisdom? It should not be outflowing, it should be non-outflow wisdom. Okay? Okay. So this, because you have no thoughts, that's when your non-outflow wisdom can kick in. That's our secret. Any problems? We reveal all the secrets to you for free. It's amazing. All you need to do is keep subscribing, right, Peter? Yes, 4.
Master, sorry, I'm a little slow. Could you just repeat the beginning of that paragraph again?
Repeat what?
The beginning of the paragraph, your first thought.
The first thought? Since when did I mention the first thought?
I can't remember. I heard you, but now I wanted to hear you repeat it again.
Repeat again. Okay. What all you need to know is this, where you are right now. Okay? If you can manage to be pure. Again, pure in Buddhism, pure means no thoughts. That's all.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you get there. You cannot claim yourself to be pure. Pure doesn't mean you scrub yourself until your skin becomes red. Okay? Pure doesn't mean clean. Pure doesn't mean you smell good. Okay? Pure means that you can be very dirty, but you have no thoughts. I mean dirty physically. Shame on you. Okay? So anyway, no comment, no riddle. He has to process it. Okay, so pure here means that this is why the so there's pure here, 净慧 here, the Chinese, non-outflow pure wisdom. I wish they would stop moving things around when they translate. Hey, translators, cut it out. Don't interpret, don't add, just translate, okay? As close the original text to the original text as possible. There's no need to move, okay? 无漏 is non-outflow. Will you indulge me, please? This is annoying to me. This destroys the teaching. You don't realize how stupid it is, how, to me, sacrilegious it is to do this. And someone should have told them. Huh?
I don't think we translate it.
No, that's from Master YongHua's superior practitioners. They don't understand this. That's why you can't really blame them. You don't understand why the Chinese said 无漏尽慧. Okay? It is stated that way by Master Jing Liang for a reason. Who are we to switch the order? How stupid can you be? They think pure non-outflow wisdom makes more sense. No, it doesn't. What he's specifying is that there is a non-outflow pure wisdom. And that's what you possess. This is what you have. That's what you are capable of. Okay? So non-outflow here means that you have no leakages. Okay? And pure means that you have no thoughts. Okay? So this wisdom here, you have no more leakages. Okay? I mean, you're fully operational. Okay? And you're free of thoughts. That's the kind of wisdom you're supposed to have. And this is the secret recipe. That Master Jing Liang gave to us. And then they went along and they came around and decided to switch the order. How stupid. But anyway, they're the better ones, I guess. Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. We have a YouTube question, and I would like to first express my gratitude to our YouTube audience who is joining us from wherever they are in the Saha world. We have nearly 50 people joining us live today.
Okay.
And if I may just point out that it doesn't require any thinking whatsoever to like, subscribe, and ring the bell.
There you go. That's part of our non-outflow wisdom, pure wisdom. Okay, we are.
The first question is from T.S. Jepato.
It's called climbing on conditions, you know.
And he
Yes,
would like
sir.
to know, or she would like to know, if you enter heaven, will you be able to keep cultivating, or will the heavenly bliss prevent you from cultivating?
Who asked?
J.S. Epito.
It's T.S. Geppetto.
Apologies.
We apologize for the pronunciations or lack of proper pronunciation. Okay. So, what was the question again?
If you enter heaven, will you be able to keep cultivating, or will the heavenly bliss prevent you from cultivating?
Good question. When you go to the heavens, can you cultivate? Okay. And yes to some people, but no to most of us. For example, in the heavens, there are 2 classes of people. People with wisdom, who are there temporarily, okay, because of their blessings, okay? And there are people who are there, but they really are there based on their self-indulgence, okay? So there are two classes of people. The people who are there in the heavens, who have wisdom, and they're there because they're not supposed to suffer anymore. For example, the first stage arhats would be considered to have wisdom. At the end of their lives, they ascend to the heavens. So they're there, okay? And they're there cultivating the best abilities that they can, and then eventually they'll, at the end of the heavenly lives, they will come down and continue their practice. Okay. Whereas most heavenly residents don't have such blessings. They only have heavenly blessings. Therefore, they're up there, they indulge. They simply indulge themselves, which makes it very difficult for them to cultivate. It's very tempting. Think if you will. Right now, you're fasting, and you're hungry. Someone gives you a banana or some French cookies who smell like beautiful European butter instead of Korean butter, which has no fragrance whatsoever. I don't get it. You Asians, what is the matter with you Asians? Not just Korean, but the Chinese, the Taiwanese, all the pastries. They use butter that has no fragrance whatsoever. How could you? I don't get it. What is it the culture with the Asians or what? Huh? All you have to do is get, Asian cookie and then a French cookie, and you see there's a difference with your nose immediately. Anyway, it's a bitter thing that I complain about. Okay, I cannot overcome that attachment. Okay, so that's what happens. The example I'm telling you is that you are cultivating, you're fasting, okay, and you're hungry like heck, and then someone gives you some fragrant food, okay, that attacks all your senses, your eyes, your nose in particular, and your brains, okay, and that's why you're tempted to break the fast. The temptation is too heavy, too much. And that's the same, that's what happens to us in the heavens. In the heavens, there's so many good things happening. The clothing is nicer. Men are much better looking. Yeah. And so forth. Everything is better than we used to. You used to think your husband is so handsome and so forth. Nah. Just go up there and take a look. Okay. All right. Yeah, see? Imagine that all the male gods are like that, one after another. They're all irresistible. And the food is incredibly delightful, delicious. To everything up there. Heavenly music. What happened to Andres? Are you listening, Andres? My man? Andres, the heavenly music is so much better than down here. The food is incredible. Without any MSG. Hey, you Vietnamese people, MSG addicts. So that's why when you go to heavens, it's very difficult to cultivate because our sense organs are constantly under attack. There's so many temptations. So that's what happened. There's a detriment to our detriment. We have heavenly blessings. You're born up there to enjoy our heavenly blessings. And when you're there, it's so enjoyable, so pleasurable. It's very difficult to cultivate. Because you have no wisdom to draw upon to resist those temptations. So in general, only a handful of people would be able to cultivate. Most of the heavily dwellers cannot. Okay? So that's why this is characteristic in our world. In the human realm, we suffer. And that's why we're more motivated to end our suffering. That's why we cultivate here in our realm. Think of it like when you're rich people who are rich, they have so much money, and they can buy anything they want to eat, to wear, and so forth. Okay? They can afford it. They said they cannot understand what kind of suffering we're going to have. Because of that, they cannot cultivate. Rich people cannot cultivate. Same thing in our realm right now. Okay? So that's why in human realm, we experience more suffering. It's more obvious to us. Okay? And even the suffering that are the biggest motivators for us to cultivate. So the answer to the question, short answer is it's extremely difficult to cultivate. Okay, because we have no motivation to cultivate. Suffering is what motivates us. The desire to end our suffering is the biggest motivator for our cultivation. So that's why suffering is necessary for cultivation. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Back to slide 212, as well as those which are interactive belonging to the mind and so forth. So in Buddhism, in the Shastras, in the 100 Dharma Shastra, it spells out, it names, it lists out the various types of how you break the mind down. So the mind, there's among them 100 shastras. Actually, it's a lot more, but the 100 Dharma Shastra combine them to reduce them to 100, which is much more manageable to us. In the 100 Dharmas, they're classified into 24 non-interactive Dharmas, and 51 Dharmas belong to the mind. Okay. And the non-interactive dharmas, examples such as they call non-interactive because they don't cooperate with the mind. So such as birth, the life faculty, the aging, getting old, time, impermanence. Also things are called non-interactive dharmas. Okay, it doesn't matter what kind of mind you have, you still have to face these things. Even if you are in samadhi, you still are subject to birth and life faculty, aging, time, impermanence, and so forth. There are 24 of them, if you ever care to go into it. Okay, it's not necessary to go into it. But you need to know there is such classification, you're curious about it. Or there are also 51 dharmas belonging to the mind, they're servants of the minds, meaning that your ability to pay attention, your feelings, your analysis, your deliberation, your desire, your judgment, your faith, your shame, non-harming, and so forth. Those are the 51 dharmas that your minds are capable of producing, of functioning. So far, so good? So if you're curious about it, you can go into this. 213. Because there's pairing with the fruit and pairing with the states. There's a division into two names for the pairing.
由对果对境分二分明。
Okay, so he's continuing with his analysis. Master Jingliang says, when you pair, then you're pairing with the fruit or the vegetables and pairing with the states. Okay, fruit here refers to the results or the price, if you will. Okay, pairing the states, meaning what happening to us. Okay, what we face with, what happens to our state of mind. There's division in two names of the pairing, and because of that, you can break it further. Why? Because of the pairing of the fruit and pairing of the state, you can now have two names. Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. I'm trying to. I'm not trying to think too much, but just could you give examples of what the results are being what the results are that are being paired with the states? I don't understand what the fruit or vegetables would be.
It'll be clearer a little bit later. Okay, don't try to understand too much. Just at your level right now, just listen to it. Okay, and then we'll be like you'll be like in a darkness for decades. And then eventually it will make sense. You're not supposed to understand everything. If you are able to understand everything immediately, that's called worldly. You're supposed to understand only a few words out of the whole sentence. That's called transcendental. And that's a Chinese wisdom, is that they come to the Dharma lecture, Sutra lecture, and listen for 2 hours. Oh, Master is such a wise and great Dharma master. I didn't understand anything. So that's why the monks and nuns like to use big words. And the people who have blessing, they keep on coming, going, coming, and they begin to speak like a monk and nuns. They open their mouth, they only throw big words at you, and they don't know what they're talking about. And your questions are totally nonsensical. You simply use big words, but you don't know what you're asking. All you do, most Buddhist disciples, all they can do is regurgitate. They just parakeet the words. And they don't know what those words mean. Our practice, okay, is predicated upon the simple fact. You don't need to open your wisdom by understanding words. You open your wisdom by knowing how to do it. So that's a specific skill set that the patriarchs are supposed to teach us. The great patriarchs are the one who says, do this and do that in order for you to open your wisdom. Okay? The lesser patriarchs don't know how to do it. So the lesser patriarchs are basically fillers, they're basically office holders. They really don't do anything except waste Triple Jewel's resources. Okay? So again, don't worry. The more I explain to you, the more you ask. So it's not going to help. Just say that, hey, I don't know anything. This is Avatamsaka is so profound. That's all you need to understand. Okay? And that's good enough. Because for you to even know of this thing called Avatamsaka, or to hear this monk called Jingliang, is incredible blessings already. You have a reference point. Okay, that others don't. And that you should be happy with. And you say, and I spend, a couple hours, hour and a half Friday night in the US listening to the Prologue. I understand a darn thing. You don't know how it was like for me. I read this cover to cover, all of it, couldn't understand a darn thing. I read it anyway. I still don't. But I'm talking about it. Okay? Someone has to impress you. At least try to impress you. All right. So there are two names, okay? And because they associate with the pairing of the fruit and pairing of the states. Yeah? Okay. Go ahead and ask questions. Don't be shy. It's okay. No questions? Okay. 2:15. There's something that we be able to understand topic is useful to you. When it's way beyond you, I kind of gloss over it, okay? Because especially when it's way beyond me. Therefore, wisdom only pairs and is not Dharma, for it is not what is paired with.
故慧但是对，而非是法，非所对故。
Okay, scholarly jargon. Okay, he says, Shastra, the third store, is about wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom pairs. Okay, if you have wisdom, you're able to pair. You're able to do something called pairing. And wisdom is not what you are looking at. That's all it says. Okay? So, sometimes it's called acting in accord, meaning that wisdom is to be able, this is an interesting concept, wisdom is to be able to accord, to act accordingly. That's called wisdom. Meaning what? When it's time to yield, you yield. It's time to insist, you insist. It's time to lose, you lose. It's time to be brutal, you're brutal. So that means 随行, meaning you act accordingly. You act according to the conditions. Meaning that it's no one size fits all. You wishy-washy. Sometimes you're nice, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you very insistent. Sometimes you are you have no platform to stand on. That's wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to act or to do something at that moment that's best possible. It will produce the best results for you. That's wisdom. So don't confuse wisdom with the fact, for example, if Master has wisdom, how come he hasn't won the Super Lotto? Super Lotto is a Dharma, right? Wisdom is to sometimes win the Super Lotto, sometimes not win the Super Lotto. Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you. Earlier this year, you helped me and my family when I was going through a very difficult work situation. And you helped me learn how to yield and bow gracefully to a business instead of what I used to do, which was fight and fight and fight. And what I found through that experience was yielding was so much better, so much more beneficial. And looking back on it, it was like winning the lottery in many, many ways. Thank you, Master. Thank you for your help and your support and your guidance.
Okay, you're welcome. Did I do that? Okay, it's good to have wisdom. Yes, 9.
Master, that Dharma, is that capital D or just small letter D should be?
Probably small, so capital. Wisdom, pairs, Dharma. That should be small. Good point. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. The point being that don't think that the cultivation is impractical for you. Cultivation improves your professional life in so many ways. Improves your family life in so many ways. Because as you improve, your wisdom unfolds more and more. And therefore, you act more. You adapt much better to the changing conditions. All right? 217. Since what is known as pair Dharma is a pairing of Dharmas, therefore the pair Dharma store has a special name named Wisdom Shastra. Or maybe it's a capital D. I'm wishy-washy, excuse me.
言对法者，法之对故，故封法藏，特名慧论。
Okay, let's change it back. Okay, I'm not going to change it because it's too embarrassing. 218, you not helping. No, it's a good point. Yeah, you have some wisdom, but it's not complete wisdom yet. Master Qing Yang's wisdom is better than ours. Okay, it's no shame in admitting it. What is known as pair Dharma is the pairing of Dharmas, therefore the pair Dharma store has a special name, Wisdom Shastra. It's just a matching of Dharmas, and that's why it's worth eventually, when you have wisdom, if you want to make your wisdom more multidimensional, more profound, that's when you want to delve into the Shastra store. Okay? And which is a little bit beyond our training program. Our training program for you to delve into the Wisdom Shastra is an individual effort. For example, you go into seclusion and then you study the Shastras. Okay, that's that kind of practice. All right? 219. The old translation was incomparable Dharma. That is because it portrays wisdom as supreme.
就意为无比法，以权会胜故。
Okay, and before there was a translation from Sanskrit into Chinese, which is Incomparable Dharma. The Shastra store is called Incomparable Dharma store because it says wisdom is supreme, meaning that this is the highest form of wisdom attainable that you can achieve, you can realize yourself. Okay, that through Buddhist teachings, through Buddhist practices, this is the highest level of wisdom. That's why it's called supreme. Nothing can be higher, nothing can be more profound than the kind of wisdom that you will develop through Buddhist training, through Buddhist practices. Okay? But it's the same thing. Okay? Yeah. 221. Heavenly relatives Samparigraha Shastra says Abhidharma has 4 meanings.
世亲社论云：阿毗达摩有4义。
Okay, 222. This particular Shastra written by Tianjin, that's the name of the Bodhisattva, heavenly relatives. He says this third store, Abhidharma, actually the name there has 4 meanings. We're still discussing the names of the store. Why is it called Abhidharma? Okay, and I explained this Abhidharma, the name right there, has 4 meanings. It's a Sanskrit name. Abhidharma came from Sanskrit. It preserved as Abhidharma from a Sanskrit because it has 4 meanings, has multiple meanings. 223. They are since spared, since enumerated, since subduing, since penetrating. The meaning paired is the same as before.
为对故、数故、福故、通故，对义同前。
Okay, so Master Jing Liang says in that particular Shastra, the author says Abhidharma is so called because it carries 4 meanings. Because it is a paired dharma, because it is enumerated dharmas, because it's the subduing dharma, because it's penetrating dharma. Okay, and these 4 meanings. Number 1, pair was explained before. Okay, he just explained it. Next, 225. At least one of you is falling asleep. That's normal. Enumerated means that each and every Dharma is repeatedly proclaimed in explanation in words of the limitless differences of particular and general characteristics, and so forth.
数者于一一法，属宣说，训示言辞，自共相等，无量差别故。
Okay, so he says, 226 commentary, enumerated, okay, meaning number 2, means that each Dharma is repeatedly explained in great details. And so that's why when you study the Abhidharma, those sastras, you get in far greater depth. You have greater dimensions. That's why I meant earlier. I said that the Abhidharma studies is something is done individually. You don't want to do it collectively, okay? Because it's reserved for a group, a small group of people who have the ability and the wisdom to go deeper into the Buddhist wisdom. Okay, and very few people or such people can be found to be able to get together. So typically it's done individually. You go into seclusion, as I said, and then you study the Abhidharma, and then you understand more about consciousness. Okay, but in order to get to that level, you need to go through different kinds of trainings. Okay, that's why. And when you go into that process, and you will be able to exhaustively delve into particular or general characteristics and so forth. This is great details. That's incredible Buddhist wisdom. This is what Master Ching Liang excels at. It's more scholarly, a lot great details that he's able to explain things. Okay? 227, which is just too much for us. And our level it's counterproductive to go that deeply into it. 227, subduing means that because of these complete shastras, locations, and so forth, there can be victorious subduing of other shastras.
福者由此具足论处所等，能胜服他论故。
Okay, 228 commentary. Subduing, meaning that these shastras actually have some are better than others. Okay, and so the shastras were written or came into existence because they serve certain purposes, and here the different uses of shastras we're learning. Number one, the shastra substance. Number two, locations. Number three, proofs. Number four, adornments. Number five, victories and defeats. Number six, departures. Number seven, working dharmas, many working dharmas. So shastras are written for certain purposes. Okay? And again, it's a little bit beyond our range. Okay? And you can. There can be victorious, 229, can be victorious subduing other shastras, meaning that if you understand shastras, you study shastras, you're able to engage very in debates and end up on the winning side. Okay? Only when it's necessary. Okay? And so you have the manifestation of the superior wisdom as you or your samadhi level gets higher, your wisdom also gets higher, and you're able to subdue lower level types of wisdoms, lower level people. Okay, so that's why the shastras are written by various bodhisattvas. For example, very famous shastra that everyone talks about, especially Master YongHua and his disciples, like the quote, 大乘起信论, the bringing forth of faith shastra. Okay, so there's a very famous shastra that's heavily quoted by the Asian Buddhist teaching. Excuse me. Something irritating my throat here. I'm becoming sensitive. When I first started, the throat is okay. Now it's a little bit hoarse, meaning something else. No, it's not that. I simply can have some of this burger-flavored lozenges. Totally vegetarian. Okay, I assure you. Anyway, sorry. sticky too. Could be just some candies. Would do too. So each Bodhisattva writes their own shastra to advance their understanding of the Buddhist teaching, demonstrate the wisdom. So the Chinese, the Asian teaching is very high, especially when you engage, when you learn about Buddhism, Mahayana. They keep on quoting this bringing forth of faith, shastra, written by, what's his name again? A seventh crown Bodhisattva. I think it's Su Hang or something. Yes, 3.
Thank you, Master. I was just curious, you said that these shastras are quite scholarly with this wisdom. Can one use this wisdom to better solve problems, like practical problems?
Absolutely. There's a difference. That's a good question. How does it function differently from the thinking mind? Okay? Can I paraphrase it like that? Re-paraphrase it? Okay. Professionally, when you go to work, and you have to think to solve the problem, okay, how do you do it? You do it sequentially. One thing you demonstrate, you prove A, then A leads to B, and C, D, and so forth. That's the nature of our professional results. Okay? And so our worldly knowledge or experience of wisdom is based on deduction. Okay? So, for example, in the law, in the law cases, and they quoted the Supreme Court rulings and so forth. So that's A, which then leads to this conclusion for this particular case, and so forth and so forth. It's all linear deductions. Okay? What's the difference in our transcendental wisdom? We don't need deduction. If you need to go from A in order to Z, you have to go through a series of deductions. In transcendental wisdom, you can go from A to Z immediately. You can, from A, you can see Z immediately. And then you use your deduction to explain it to others. That's the difference. So to others, you're the same person. You seem adorable, special you. You know what I mean? Are you immune to my charm now? Yes, 4. I'm always using it.
Thank you, Master. No, I really like your explanation for some reason. So you're saying that transcendental wisdom is like a wormhole, right? Like you just fold the piece of paper and poke a hole through it and the 2 points are joined. You don't have to go anywhere. It's just solution.
Yeah, you just know. So there's a difference between deduction and proving versus knowing, if you will. I just know the answer. I just know that he likes me. And you look and say, why? Why do you say that? You say, what? You see his eyes? You see his body language? You see how. So you just know, and then you justify it. Justifying is deduction. It's a thinking mind. That's how we connect. But the knowing is your instinct. Okay? You see the difference? That's the difference. So, for example, if you have how do you use it? Here's what happens. Typically, you go to work, you keep on, beating your brains up. And you do the research and then you analyze and you try to synthesize and so forth. And pretty soon you're so tired that you can't function anymore. Okay? You have an information overload, data overload. So what do? That's a good thing. You have all the things there, all the data there, you cannot synthesize. So what happens is that then you meditate. And you stop thinking about them. Then all of a sudden they coalesce into boom. That's when you see the connection naturally. For example, never mind about the so far removed things. I remember when I was in high school, we learned about algebra. I could not understand how to do my homework. So what happened? I slept, and next morning I woke up, aha. So what happened is it bothered you, right? It bothered me so much. I couldn't solve this math problem, this algebra problem. It really bothered me. That's the key. It bothered me so much that at night when I slept, I was still subconsciously processing it. And then, boom, you fall asleep. You stop processing, you stop thinking about it. That's when the solution emerged. So now we have, instead of sleeping, which is haphazard, okay? You don't know if during sleep it's going to happen or not. Now you're developing the ability you have to do the same thing. You do the research, you think it through, push yourself to your limit. And then, you stop, you meditate, and all of them will coalesce. And that's the nature of wisdom right there. Because your mind is linear, your thinking, your reasoning is linear, so it has to go like this. Whereas when the wisdom is that it looks at it from all sorts of dimensions at the same time. Yes, four.
Yeah. We have a question from Aqua Tracer Master. Aqua Racer, excuse me. Mm-hmm. When we face leg pain, when is it almost and when it is unbearable, how should we apply any wisdom? Thanks.
Okay, repeat that.
When we face the leg pain, when it is almost unbearable, how should we apply any wisdom?
If you still have leg pains, if it still bothers you, you have no wisdom you can use. I'm sorry, I'm going to give it to you straight. Okay? You have no wisdom yet. But the wisdom will come if you keep on fighting that desire to quit. Similarly, that if you have a problem at work and you do your research, you push yourself to the limit and you say, I quit. This can't be solved. Then you're dead. You will not make progress. What happened to Steve Jobs is what happened to him. I think this is just my interpretation, my Hollywood script. They didn't ask me. If they asked me, I would have said this, would put more emphasis on this. He pushed himself to the limit, and he failed. All his projects, he failed and failed and failed. And he says, I've got to come up with something better than this because I have a pattern of failure. So what did he do? He went to an ashram in India, and he learned to meditate. And when he meditated there, he's able to drop everything. Okay? All the frustration still came to the fore. Okay? It still came up, still arose in his mind. But the meditation process right there enabled him to stop thinking. And that's how he came up with this vision, if you will. He says, it has to be user-friendly, it has to be simple, and so forth. That's wisdom right there. Then he came back and says, this is my vision, this is what I want. You better deliver it for me. I'm hiring you to do this for me. This is my criteria. This is what I want in the product. Okay, so he had the answer, if you will. That's wisdom. Wisdom is to be able to see the answer. Okay? And then if you spend time, eventually you'll be able to get there. Whereas the typical intellectual approach is that you need to deduce because you hear, you don't know the end result yet. So you keep on going like this and you don't know where it's going to be. You're muddling in the dark. And that's a problem with business people as well. They call it muddling through, the managers, the executive, they could call it muddling through because they have no idea of what's the end goal should be. The end product has to look like. Okay? No wisdom, no vision. Okay? And so that's what happened to Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is very smart. He's a salesman, but he was able to develop his vision. That's the nature of wisdom, is, if you will, the vision. To see something that no one else can see. Okay? That's desirable. Okay? And then his genius is that to get people to execute and deliver for him. That's Steve Jobs' superiority. He has the vision, the wisdom, and then he surrounded himself with people who can realize it. In particular, one person, maybe a couple of people, John Ives, and people don't give credit enough for this. And who else? Cook. Cook is a guy who actually made it happen for him. Steve Jobs says, I want this type of product for me. John Ives says, this is how it's going to look like. And Cook is the one who says, I'm going to make it happen for you. I know, I got the supply chain, I got the engineers, I get, and so forth. Does it make sense? That's how it worked. So unless you have the vision there, then you will not be able to do big things. Panda bear. Is it Papa bear or Mama bear? I cannot tell the sex.
안녕하십니까 마스터 감사합니다.
Oh, Papa bear.
일전에 마스터님께서 인터뷰할 때 선화상인님의 풀이가 된 능엄경이라든지 금강경이라든지 선화상인님께서 이제 푸신 경전을 읽으면 굉장히 도움이 많이 된다 그래서 가끔 이제 보고 있습니다. 여기까지 말씀드릴게요.
Master, I'm reading the books written by Master Shena, such as Vajra Sutra and Shurangama Sutra. I'm reading those books.
그래서 이제 종종 시간이 날 때마다 읽고 있는데 여쭙고 싶은 건 이제 항상 그런 건 아니죠. 가끔씩 이제 아주 청정한 경계에 그러니까 선정에 들어갔을 때 느낌이 오곤 합니다. 근데 여쭙고 싶은 게 예전에 영화 선생님께서 강설하신 게 중에 경을 통해서 보는 건 이제 일종의 문자반야인데 그 문자반야는 이제 한계가 있기 때문에 제가 정확히 이해는 했는지 모르겠는데 이제 깊은 산매에 들어가는 거는 좀 한계가 있다라고 제가 이해를 한 것 같은데 그래서 여쭙고 싶은 거는 이제 경을 통해서 이제 경과 논을 통해서 이제 깊은 어떤 마음의 어떤 경계에 들어가지만 더 깊게 들어가기 위해서는 이런 경전을 읽는 게 좀 한계가 있는 것인지, 그러니까 낮은 단계로의 선정까지는 들어갈 수 있지만 깊은 어떤 사마디까지 레벨에 들어가기 위해서는 경전 공부로는 한계가 있는지 여쭙고 싶습니다.
So sometimes I experience samadhi, and then I want to ask you, is there any limitation if I study only sutra? Is there any limitation to the level of samadhi? If I want to go a deeper samadhi, can I do something else?
I don't understand the question.
So sometimes I experience good samadhi when I study the sutra. But I remember there is several types of parajna wisdom. The first one is literature parajna wisdom.
The what?
혹시 제가 할까요? Master, the YongHua is curious because in the past, he listened to your Dharma talk. He heard that you mentioned about the literary prajna. So he's wondering if he only recite the sutras, he's not able to reach deeper samadhi in that way. Because he does feel some sort of samadhi states when he recites the sutra, but he was wondering if he has to do something else because you mentioned you need to do some kind of contemplative cultivation in order to reach samadhi, not just literary prajna when he recites the sutras only.
Okay. Now I understand a little bit better. Okay. To keep it simple, reading sutras is very good. Okay. But it's not a substitute for contemplation. So how do you combine the two? You combine the two by, I do step number 2 first for you. Number 2 is you apply the principles you read. You look at yourself. Am I applying this? Okay, which is a lot more behind it. But basically the first step is you as you read sutras, there's some of the things eventually, you read a lot of sutras, there's a lot of information there, but some of the few things will catch you, okay? Will catch your attention. And you ask yourself, am I using this? Am I applying this? That's number 2. Number 1 is that when you have blessings, those things will come obvious. They will pop out. You don't have enough blessings, all the sutra is just one big mass to you. Like most people, most scholars, they read sutras, basically, there's a lot of words to them. They don't look at sutras and as a standard to ask themselves, how am I using this? How does it apply to me? Okay? So far, so good? That's the principles. So as you see, let me spell it out for you, for all of you anyway. As you see, if you insist on reading sutras on your own, if you insist on studying books, reading sutras after sutras, shastra after shastras, okay? Number one, if you don't have enough wisdom, none of it will mean anything to you. That's what happened to scholars. Scholars read a lot of stuff, but they don't have enough wisdom. They don't cultivate wisdom. That's why they don't accrue wisdoms. They don't accrue blessings. That's why it's just a bunch of words. Like a dictionary, you keep on flipping, you have more words. Buddhist jargon, you have more and more and more and more. That's all. It's still a dictionary. You don't have to use it. Okay? So that's why this is a fallacy of getting a degree in Buddhism, because you're learning a lot of words. You will never be able to learn from someone who actually can penetrate those meanings for you, because they haven't themselves. They cannot show you how. So you can read sutras, but you cannot neglect increasing your blessings. You need to do merit and virtues. When you do the merit and virtues, then you're able to contemplate. You don't have enough blessings, no point. The contemplation is going to lead you to nowhere whatsoever. Okay? That's the process, number one. You need to be clear about it. This is what these universities, what the monks and nuns don't realize. The monks and nuns nowadays go to universities to get a degree, PhD degree in Buddhology and whatever from great schools, and they're very, very advanced. They're very rigorous training, true, but very shallow training. Okay? They never could penetrate the meaning of those words unless they meditate. And in order to meditate successfully, what do you need to do? Accrue blessings. This is what most meditation teachers will not teach you. You have to accrue blessings. If not, you simply are listening, you simply are learning words, they mean nothing to you. You just become a dictionary, that's all you are. Because you don't have enough blessings. Okay, so now you have all these words, all these concepts that you learn. Year after year after year, day after day, week after week, or day after day right now. Okay? And if you have blessings, that is when, if you have great blessings, that's when someone called a good no advisor will tell you why you cannot increase your samadhi power. So that's why in what I call American Buddhism, I want to demystify the Asian style where you read sutra, you hear about a lot about stories about a lot of monks and nuns. They read sutras, they write sutras, they add scriptures, sutras. You really don't understand what's really behind that process. Okay? Whatever they did, they had to create a lot of blessings, or they had a lot of blessings themselves already. The common denominator is if you keep creating blessings, you can never lose. Whereas the Chinese practitioner nowadays, they say, I'm going to meditate. The Japanese, I'm going to do Zen. And they sit there for year after year, and they get nowhere because there's no blessings, not cultivating blessings enough. That's why the Asians are falling behind us, because they are not building blessings, and they don't know of the shortcut. The shortcut for us, American Buddhism, is we build blessings, then we seek someone who can activate those blessings for us. That's the job of a good known advisor. He maturates those blessings. Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master. I would like to ask a question on page 228. It says, subduing means that because of these complete shastras, locations, and so forth. Would you please explain what locations mean? Thank you.
They're wherever they pop up, wherever they're placed, wherever they were produced, okay, they serve a reason. Meaning that, for example, I gave you the example of the bringing forth the faith shastra, okay? It was very useful because it was for the Asians. It's located in Asia. It's being taught in Asia. I personally, I've read it a few times. I liked it, but I don't find it useful for us in America. I let the Chinese do it the Chinese style. For me, I have different ways of developing faith. Not the way they do. The way they do it is scholarly, okay? And the restriction is that particular bodhisattva the author who wrote the shastra is 7th ground bodhisattva. That's too low. The wisdom behind that shastra is not high enough for me to be impressed. Whereas Master YongHua doesn't have to write a shastra, but he says, endure suffering. You know what it did for me? It helped me develop a kind of faith in his Dharma far deeper, far greater than that shastra I read. So I'm doing the same thing for you. Endure it. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So that one phrase right there, endure it, okay, is a lot more useful to me than the entire shastra. Because my faith is far deeper than the shastra describes.
May I just ask one related question? So, for example, Venerable YongHua did an explanation of the Shurangama Sutra, and specifically he explained the 50 skandhas. And I read his explanation, and that was very, very useful to me. This level of explanation, is there something at the level of sastras or just explanation? Thank you.
Good point. That is, whatever Master YongHua explained You don't need to call it Shastras. Okay? Shastra is more scholarly. Whatever explained was more on the use side than on the knowledge side. Yes, it's knowledge, but it's practical knowledge, if you will. Whereas Shastra is basically scholarly knowledge. Okay? So that's why after I practiced Master Shenhua's Dharma, I looked at that Shastra bringing forth the faith. In Mahayana, I found it to have quite a few holes. That's why I don't teach it, because if I teach it, someone asks me and said, I agree with you, I don't like this. Then they're going to ask me next, and why are you talking about this? You see, that's why I don't explain it. I don't plan to explain that Shastra at all, because to me, it's too shallow. It's nonsense. It's for babies. Whereas I'd rather tell you, endure it. Endure the pain, endure the hunger. Your faith will grow stronger. Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. We have a YouTube comment from Cordelia Lee. Cordelia says, Master, I had this issue in high school. My high school is a college prep school that teachers don't give us instruction but expect us to excel. I didn't do very well. In college, I got some instructions and excelled. I found out that I need at least step A and B and able to get to Z by myself, even in spiritual practice. I feel lost, but listening to Dharma, I get some tips and try to follow it and feel less lost. Emitofuo.
Precisely. Thank you for the feedback. My speaking of Dharma is very skewed. I'm not interested in imparting scholarly knowledge to you. You can do it on your own. You don't need me. You can pick up this Shastra, you can read it. All I ask you is you read it from a good translation. Okay? Don't read it from the poor translations. Professor's translation, dump them. For example, they're all confused. They don't know when the jargon they use is a lot of garbage. Okay? But, so I try to imitate Master Shenhua because I got a lot out of his style of teaching, is because what I value in his explanation of sutras and his instruction in Chan is that it's all geared toward telling me how to get there, what to do, instead of knowledge. Okay? The Avatamsaka Sutra here, the prologue, is one exception. That it's not very high in terms of contents about what to do. It's more scholarly than anything else he's explained. Okay? So originally, I wasn't planning on explaining this to you because some of my disciples have reached pretty high level. That's why I decided to explain to all of you, as a part of a challenge to see whether I can do it at all levels. But again, my bias is that I don't want to delve into the theory side too much. For example, right now in 228, we can go into Shastra substance, locations, and proof, and adornments, departures, and so forth. We can delve into it. But that, to me, would take several hours out of your time and my time, when it's not going to help 95% of you, 99% of you. So to me, it's not a good use of my time nor yours. The 1% or the 5% of the people who will benefit from it, they can benefit from it by studying it themselves and meditating on that, they will get it. So that's the difference that I found that only Master YongHua did it in his teachings, and no one else I knew of. Unfortunately, I cannot compare against Sixth Patriarch himself, how he trained his students. All we had are just the sutra, one sutra, that recorded how he talked to maybe 10 people, 20 people. That's not enough for me. But Master YongHua left a treasure trove of how he taught his disciples at various times in his lives, in his career. Okay, so it's important to read about these concepts, but it's not very productive to me to delve too deeply into it because we lose, most of you. Yes, JC.
네, 입채님 질문입니다. 지혜가 아무리 높아도 복을 능가하지 못하고 합니다. 맞습니까? 이것이 질문입니다.
Question is from Iche. Even if we have higher wisdom, it does not surpass blessing. Is it right? It's not better than blessing. Is it right?
Let me put this way for you. You never have enough blessings. Why not? Wherever you are, you got there because you exhausted your blessings. So don't rest on your laurels. Don't say, I, give you this wing here at the temple. I say, yeah, I'm grateful, but that's how you got there where you are right now. So all that is gone. So that's why in Buddhism, you never rest on our laurels, especially in our tracks. We constantly create more and more and more and more blessings. We don't think about it. It should be second nature. That's called giving paramita. That's a base. Why do you think the bodhisattvas improve? Here's what happens to them. They get to the first ground bodhisattva. If somehow you manage to get there, okay, I'm going to describe it to you how bodhisattvas get there, okay, and how they what it's like to be them. You get there because you have tremendous blessings. Okay, you get there, and the bodhisattva says, I'm enlightened. This is fantastic. Now I can retire. Wrong. You know what happens? As soon as they get there, they say, oh my God, I better create more blessings. So they go about creating more and more blessings. That's what they do. They don't rest on their laurels. They don't retire. Only losers retire or want to retire. Okay? Okay, let's be real. Okay? So The first ground Bodhisattva, look at it, look. They become enlightened, they have real wisdom now. Know what they do? They practice giving. You give and give and give and give and give. So far, so good. And when you get to Master Hsuan level, I cannot tell you what his level is. Okay? I respect him too much. Even though he's dead, I can't tell you. Okay? Yet his level was much higher than 1. Okay? You know what he does? Give. He gives more than the first ground Bodhisattva. That should be enough proof for you to see that you give more and more and more, and you never stop. You're never satisfied with your giving. I don't know why the Chinese never broke it down for their own kind. And this is why they all got stuck. Generation after generation, that Pang Ju, the Pang layman, or the Chinese bodhisattvas, they make that mistake. They're not taught properly. It's too mystical to me, the way that the Chinese teach their own kind. Yes, for.
Thank you, Master. Thank you for bringing up and clarifying to never be satisfied with our giving. And in the spirit of that...
It's never enough.
In the spirit of that, it's been much discussion that I've participated with some of the disciples, and I thought hopefully you could help clarify this for us as well, because we all look towards what kind of car we want to get you for your retirement. And
start first with a red car.
Yes, absolutely.
And upgrade.
And
upgrade.
Yes.
Isn't it clear? Give more.
With the intention of planting, the seed, and hopefully not today. I know this is going to be a discussion to come, but with the goal of having us all be aligned on the type of car. I was watching a YouTube video 2 days ago, and you came to mind immediately. The new Ford GT Mark II just released. It's available in red, I made sure. And if there's any doubt or contemplation that you may want to have about the car, I encourage you to watch the movie Ford versus Ferrari, because that could help. Think of it as like a Shastra for special cars. And why the Ford GT Mark II may be one that you'd like us all to think about as we support your retirement. No time soon.
May I point out to you?
Please.
We American Mahayana practitioners have a standard. It's called class. You ever been to the Bahamas in that exclusive neighborhood? Do they drive a Mustang? Do they drive a Ford?
I've been thinking about this too, and I have to say, whichever island in the Bahamas that we help that you retire at better be pretty big, because if you're in a Ford or a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, you're going to go around that island so fast, Master.
That's true, but let me tell you, it's not about fast, it's about class. Let me tell you, okay, I go up north. I mean, you Koreans don't know what I'm talking about, so bear with us. We go up north. Here in Rosemead, I drive, I see Nissan, okay, everywhere. Volkswagen, maybe Mercedes even, and maybe, Lexus and so forth. Rarely a few Mercedes here and there. I go up north. I drive 280 between Gold Forest and Dharma Treasury Temple. 280. That's the best freeway right there. Okay? And you see all sorts of nice cars. And one thing that really baffled me is that I saw like the Mercedes G-Wagon, the G truck. Okay? It's like a $300,000 car after taxes and so forth. Okay? And there's so many of them. And then it's not that, 10 minutes later, I saw a Bentley. And I was telling my passenger, I said, they're driving a house right there. It's the price of a house. And that's class, my friend.
And I appreciate your response so much, Master. I want to assure you that you're not going to get into a GT for less than $1 million. So it is a true supercar. Bugatti and Ferrari and Lamborghini hope to be in its class.
No, sir. Can I point out to you?
Please elucidate us, please. I'm taking this on the chin for all of us right now, just so you know. Okay.
Okay, it's good that we talk about this and let's level, expectations. Okay, let's be clear about what the standards are, okay? I know it costs a lot of money to make the GT thing, the technology behind it, everything. Okay? But it still has no class. Okay? It's just like you go to Stanford Medical Center. You drive through this park here where all the rich people in that area live, and they go there to exercise every day. What do you see? Black Mercedes and everything. You never see a Toyota, for God's sake. You never see a Ford. So it's not, even though it costs $1 million, but the badge, it says Ford, they sneer at you. You know what I mean? You never, you don't drive a Ford. Sorry, you don't drive a Chevrolet. Yes, 9. He's so American. He said he's promoting the American products. I said, no, you have no class. 9.
I'm sorry, I'm going to make somebody mad, Master, but it's like you can't spend so much money in Sears. I mean. By the way, I'm driving Ford.
No, it's something that's called class. I know we're joking about this, but let me tell you. Class, you cannot put a price on class. That's my point. I expect you, when you become enlightened, to have class. Class is not about what you wear or the size of your temple or the car brand, you will. Class is that things that you don't do like ordinary people. You can no longer do things that ordinary people do. Okay? Does it help? And this is what you need to understand of your stature. When I put you there in that position, because you need to exhibit class, because they're watching you. Not these people, they're poor, doesn't matter. Okay, these people are too poor. Okay? They only see $1 million. But the other bodhisattvas are watching you. And this is why I never stress on saving water, waste, because class requires you to waste. I'm teaching you wrong, the different kind of Dharma by my teacher. My teacher is that he wants you to get there. I'm teaching you so that when you get there, you know how to have class. You hear me? Because class inspires. Look at the British. Why they have a monarchy? The one thing of the monarchy that's serving that they don't realize, that they don't talk about it enough, is that they have class. They aspire to the regular people. Say, oh, these people have class. We can aspire to be like them. They're superior. You need to exhibit a goal right there. It's so far so that they can try to reach you. That inspires them, that motivates them. That's part of class. Class prohibits you from driving a Ford, even though it costs more. It's still a Ford. I just lost a potential commercial sponsor. Now, we're joking, all joking aside, wisdom, if you have wisdom, it must be, this is what I'm trying to teach all of you Mahayana people. You have wisdom, you're supposed to have class. You're supposed to develop class. You're no longer the same person that you were before. Because you're supposed to inspire others. And that applies to all of you as well. When I tell you, you guys don't realize it. When I tell you, oh, you now a first stage arhat, in a small Hinayana world, you are enlightened. Have some more class. It's now your responsibility to develop class. Because you're no longer ordinary. It's a responsibility. In the old times, we have peasants and nobility. It's only two classes. The peasants aspire to be a noble. They lift themselves up. Inspires them. A similar kind of thing. Enlightened people are supposed to inspire people to become enlightened as well. So do things to inspire people. Have some class. How can classy people worry about, wasting water? Good Lord. Waste. Because we have to. We're classy people. How can classy people agonize over someone wasting water? You're supposed to eat it. You're supposed to swallow it. Rather than complain. Complaining shows you have no class. Why do you have to ask people to pay $5 for lunch? How can you stoop down to the level you have to charge people for, to make money off people? There's no class. No matter how poor you are, where's your class? We're talking with a classy mind here. We're not talking about the size of your wallet. Your mind has to be classy. That's why I want you to learn about culture. I would like you to go see choir. This is where I wish I swear to God, I wish right now I have a black choir right there. Hallelujah, hallelujah. And then we go stand up and, class. And we pass on the bucket as well. We collect $10. Oh my God, I cannot believe they're still doing that. They do that and they're not collecting hardly any money. I watch all the movies. And when they pass around, they give like $1, $5. You add up even like 100 people. How much money are we talking about? Would that move you enough to pass a buck around, pass the donation basket around? What are we teaching you? I'm teaching you class. There's a donation box right there. Don't forget that location. Class is that we just put a donation box there and we pretend not even to know where it is. We forgot and we put it there. Right there. Okay? And so there's certain things where class, noblesse oblige is a French phrase. Okay? Classy people feel that they must do. Why do you stoop down to, little things? It's so petty. Why? How can you afford to be classy? It's because when you give, this in Buddhism, this is why what makes, to me, Buddhism so transcendental, so superior, because we can afford to be classy because we said, no, I'm going to take a loss. Okay? I take a loss instead of trying to collect $2 from you, $5 from him, okay, and so forth. We get away free, okay? And then what happens? Someone with a big heart says, wow, this is so classy. I want to do something to show my class too. And because of that, it happened because when you give without any expectations, you have blessings. And the blessings manifest in terms of temples, in terms of red cars, in terms of whatever. It pays to be classy. Trust me, I think. You understand? If you begin your career with say, I need to make the rent, I need to pay for my clothes, I need to, make my car payment, I need to pay for my cell phone. Okay? You never have class. How do we get there again? Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay. It has nothing to do with being poor or rich. Classy people in your heart. You don't take advantage of people. You don't promote yourself. You don't plot for yourself. Because classy people say, hey, I don't have to do that. When you feel, because you feel yourself so poor, that's why you keep on trying to, squeeze more money out of this and more money out of that. See how it's self-fulfilling? When you look at yourself, oh, I need money, I need clothes, I need, car payments, then you're not a classy person. Then you don't deserve. You don't deserve it. Yes, 9.
Hi, Master. This is a little off the topic since we're already basically done. Are we going to have a New Year's Eve party tomorrow night?
Ah, what a classy thing to do.
Can we do that?
So let's talk about parties. See, it's called noblesse oblige. Okay? Nobility deems it necessary. Let's have a party. You talk it over. I'm classy. I don't worry about details. What time? New Year's Eve party? I mean, in the U.S., it'd be Korea. It's almost, the end of the year for them. Right now, it's about what time in Seoul? Let me see. I have so many people there, especially that small girl there. I don't want her to go hungry. 2:40 p.m. They still have 8 hours to go, 7 hours to go. Anyway, we don't have to worry about that. That's Master Z's issue. Okay? For us, it's up to you. I'm game. I will accord with conditions. Yeah.
Master Hong had a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Master, actually a question. Do we watch the ball drop? If so, it's 9 o'clock.
So he's saying that we should stop before 9. That's what he means. Well, if we have important things to do, everything else can wait. It happens only once a year. Come on. Live a little. Okay, tomorrow night we all agree. Huh? We stop before the ball drops. Okay. Remind me, please. Are you going to still be here, the two of you? How nice. They just starve themselves to death. Yeah. Okay, thank you, everyone. Good night.